see a lot of women in my practice now, and we have to realize, and this doesn't get discussed as often as I would like, is that estrogen makes women a lot more sensitive to cannabis, and mostly THC. So our hormones interact with THC quite a bit, and our cycle can influence how we feel. And this was documented through researchers at Washington State University. They found that women experience most effects of THC when their estrogen is peaked, right when it's peaked and beginning to fall. So this happens at like about the day or two before you ovulate, so day 12 to day 14 or so. And this interaction makes us more sensitive to the compound in general, but it also actually gives us more pain relieving effects compared to males. But also we actually can develop more tolerance to the THC compared to men. So for women, I actually, when they come into my office, I will look at their cycle or non-cycle, so I'll look at their estrogen, progesterone levels, LSH levels, FSH levels, and I will actually create a game plan. And I will dose them based on their cycle. So they take a little bit more or a little less depending on where they're at. And it's important. I mean, we're not represented in studies, as as an ethnicity, different minorities, or even as a female, which is unfortunate. But I do take that into account when I see female patients.
That's really great to hear. That was exactly where I was going to go next. Is there's this very little discussed issue in biomedical research in general, that a lot of the way that we've come to think about pharmacology and physiology is based on research in men, and it doesn't translate. I mean, some does, but obviously there are big differences, and these hormonal differences drive all sorts of nuanced differences in pharmacokinetics and things that really needs to be talked about more. I mean, there's so many issues with biomedical research right now. So this is one. So the underrepresentation between ethnic groups and sexes and that sort of thing. But then also we have a reproducibility problem too. So there's a lot of biomedical research that's been done that we're having trouble reproducing. And it's a great time to have a lot of humility, I think, when it comes to medicine.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
100%. I'm so glad you said that. I mean, when we get sick, you're going to take the same Z-Pack as I am.
Right. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So why aren't we dosed differently based on our weight, our ethnicity, based on our metabolism?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And are there I mean, you just hit several of the big ways that cannabis can affect women differently than men, or really just depending on a person's hormonal levels, regardless of how they identify. Are there any other big differences that you've noticed in how people react to cannabis differently that you think people should be aware about?
Actually, ethnicity is a big thing. I've noticed in my clinical data that different ethnic groups, depending on genetic makeup and where their ancestors are from, will react differently to cannabinoid medicine. So the Hispanic population, Asian population seem much more sensitive to cannabinoids. And so, I mean, it's interesting because I'm looking at the data that I have, and I would definitely want to utilize this data and figure out, where, or maybe we can brainstorm offline.
Yeah.
But really think about how this plant is working from, a demographic point of view.